Time now to grade this movie, Snitch. A little bit different sort of a story for Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but did he improve any from his previous movies?
Right. His movies are notorious for being action-packed, and that's exactly the type of person he is. You see the movies that he's coming out in, as you see a lot of previews during this one of G.I. Joe and some other things that he's coming out in. This was him trying to take really that next step and play a character that had a little more gusto to them, you know, a couple more sides back in the mind, and really I think he was okay at that. The movie didn't wow me by any means, but I thought it was entertaining and it was interesting, and we always talk about these movies trying to be suspenseful. Did they create suspense? And I think there were moments in this movie that did just that, and that kept me interested in it. The weird thing about it is, the thing that threw me with this one out, and you're going to laugh, is the cinematography. There were some times in this movie that I didn't know if the cameraman had a couple too many before he went out there or not, but I was feeling a little woozy in the audience, and I think that really distracted it to me. But still, I think a pretty average movie. Didn't blow me away, but I don't think it was bad by any means. I'm going to give it a B- because I think it was suspenseful enough that it kept me interested, and it was a very compelling story.
All right, well, as I told you on last week's show, my problem with The Rock's movies are in the same vein as the problem I have with Steven Seagal movies. They're basic plots, they're fairly simple, good guy gets bad guy, not a lot of plot twists, and every movie is very similar. Well, this is a little bit different than a typical movie that The Rock did. I still found a lot of those problems with this. I didn't see any plot twists of any kind. Maybe this movie didn't need them. Okay, fine. As far as the plot goes, it was simple, it was easy to follow, but maybe a little bit too simple. I found myself bored at some points in this movie as well. While this movie wasn't awful, and the acting was, like I said, average at best previously, and it was better than the fifth installment of Die Hard, I still don't think it was that good. I'm going to give it a D+.
And we talk about this inspired by true events. You're the people that makes the director want to go away from that true story, because he was trying to stick to what actually happened, but then he's losing people like you.
If you're going to, now, you said inspired by true events, right? So I think maybe some artistic liberties were took, or maybe some of them should have been taken, because this to me was just so incredibly simple. Now, if you want to see how a movie based on a true story is supposed to be, Zero Dark 30, Argo, two of the best movies this year. Argo won the Oscar, of course. Zero Dark 30 was by far, though, the best movie this year. That's the way you do a story based on something that actually happened. To me, this just, again, seemed a little bit too simple, a little bit too predictable, a little bit too clear-cut. Good people, bad people. There was never really anything that caused me to be on the edge of my seat. There just wasn't.
I'm going to get you that Zero Dark 30 tattoo on your back. You were really in love with that movie. But speaking of Zero Dark 30 and Argo, which won Best Picture, Oscars were held this past weekend. Were there any surprises? Because I know I had one, and it was a tie for sound editing. And I just think a tie was very surprising, and especially because it looks like you had to have long white hair in order to be considered for that.
Well, other than that, my biggest surprise was Ted coming out and sitting on a chair, and my wife was wondering, how did they do that? Is that like, where's this? I don't know if there's strings coming from the ceiling. That was my other surprise. As far as the awards, nothing truly surprised me. Maybe
we called a lot of them. We called most of those.
Yeah, I was surprised that Jennifer Lawrence received the Best Actress. There were so many other strong performances there, but you know, Zero Dark 30 I thought should have won, but I had a feeling they were going to get kind of Hollywood out of that. And I said, if they don't win, it's going to be Argo. If the director isn't Steven Spielberg, it's going to be Ang Lee. So I can't say I was truly surprised. You and I nailed Christoph Waltz. I think that was the easiest one to get, as well as Daniel Day-Lewis getting the Best Actor for Lincoln. Again, his performance was very good, and I don't see how he could have lost that one.
I think the reason Jennifer Lawrence got that award is everyone voted for her, because if you've seen her with a bow and arrow, I would not vote against her at all.
That's a good point.
She's got mad skills.
I never even thought of it.
Plenty of other movies coming up, 21 and over, Phantom, Stoker, a lot of them to choose from. Which one are we going to review? Which one should you watch? Stay tuned for that.